I'll ask each commissioner to please respond with a here. I call out their name. Commissioner Duggan. Here. Commissioner Lysick.
Here.
Commissioner Sanders.
Here.
Right, and before we get into our reports, I understand we have a motion to amend our agenda.
Yeah, Mr. President, I move to have a discussion about replacing me. I will not be able to attend the Joint Water Commission meeting this week, which I believe will result in the inability to have a quorum for the meeting, and there is a priority to have a quorum this week. In front of the board, there are 4 options. The first option is to, for the record, is to appoint 2 commissioners to act on the interim basis for the Friday meeting. Option 2 is to designate a CEO, or we only have 1 CEO, to designate the CEO as a representative. Then option 3 is to either have the CEO and a commissioner. And the final option is to appoint a commissioner on a temporary basis until a permanent appointment can be made when we fill the board seat.
Okay, I have a motion to add this discussion item as item C to our business agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seeing as we have a motion and it's been seconded, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. We will add. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Floor is yours, Paul.
Good evening, Commissioner, President Fisher and Commissioners. I think tonight we have a relatively compact meeting for you. No executive session tonight. All the materials that we covered last week, nothing has changed that would warrant us coming back and meeting an executive session. We've talked about this before, but I want to remind everybody that we have a presentation upcoming with Dr. Teodoro. He will be helping us build knowledge within the region, as well as strengthening the region entirely as it relates to water and the kinds of things that we're interested in. So it's May 12th, 2026. We have 2 separate topics planned. The first is toward more perfect drinking water, the Madison Declaration, the Future Safe Drinking Water Act. That will be targeted at staff members here at the district, as well as our regional partners, to come in and talk about how the future of the Safe Drinking Water Act might need to adapt itself. So, you know, Dr. Teodoro is an academic. He likes to put challenging thoughts out there, and we're going to learn a lot from hearing him talk about those issues. The second one is Trust at the Tap, Drinking Water and Democracy. This builds off of the work he did on the Profits of Distrust, looking at how our services that we provide to the community either contribute or detract from overall trust and democracy. He's got some interesting research that he's done that shows that relationship. So that is targeted at our regional elected officials, you and your peers throughout the community. So invitations will be sent this week, and we will move forward with that planned meeting. Similarly, talking about spreading the knowledge base here is our Talking Water series. We have an upcoming Talking Water on May the 6th. It'll be a virtual forum using Teams, as we normally do. The topic will be maximizing irrigation controller efficiency. So we'll present information about irrigation controller efficiencies and how you can get more out of your controller. The event will be offered on Teams, as I said. The connection link is accessible on our website. You don't need to sign up. You can just go to the website and get a link and participate. I'm going to give you an update on our boardroom here. It's nice and cool tonight because it's cool outside today, but the air conditioning system in the boardroom needs to be replaced. And it's more than just the boardroom. It's actually for this part of the entire building. They'll be doing some substantial improvements out here in the hallway. The bottom line is that the boardroom will be inaccessible for about a 3-month period. We're looking at that beginning in mid-May. That will be driven in part by the weather. As it gets warmer outside, the inability to cool the room will become a problem. We will have portable air conditioning units to make sure that the lobby is reasonable for customers when they come in to do their business here at the district, as well as make sure that some of the other areas of the administrative headquarters that wouldn't otherwise get air will have some air conditioning in place. We have a resolution that's included in today's consent agenda to change the meeting location from the board meeting to a virtual during the time of the construction. Since this room won't be available, you did adopt a resolution last December setting the time and location of the meetings to be this boardroom for your regular meetings. So we would need to have a resolution to change that. And that's what the resolution, the consent agenda will do. So as before, even after the construction, we'll retain the virtual meeting option for those members of the public who cannot easily attend the public meetings. So we won't change that, except during construction, we won't have the meeting here physically, hopefully for no more than 3 months. But we'll have to see when they get the construction underway. And then my last update is on the board vacancy. I understand there was a meeting of the subcommittee yesterday. So the board vacancy committee met by teams last night. Staff provided recruitment material for review and our continuing support Commissioners Fisher and Sanders in the recruitment process. There was a question that came up as to whether or not we would promote the advertisement on social media and pay for that promotion. Turns out that the cost of that's just a few $100s, and we believe that under the resolution you adopted last month, Section 3 gives us the authority to do that. So unless there are any objections, we plan to use the money that's in our budget for public outreach to pay for that few $100s worth of promotion of those advertisements so that people will know they can apply for the position. Is there any concern about that? Okay, we'll take that as no concerns, and we'll proceed under the authority that you gave us with resolution last month. And with that, I'll turn over to Dave Kraska, who will be presenting tonight's director's report.
Good evening, commissioners. So tonight's director's report, that's what we're calling these, right? Department report, is about the water supply system commissioning. So our overall system, parts of it were built 10 years ago. And so even though all of our pipeline segments, once they're constructed, are flushed, disinfected, passed back T tests, and sealed up, we know that when water resides in our pipelines, the cement mortar line pipelines for a period of time, it gets very high in TDS, total dissolved solids, and pH. And obviously we can't deliver that water to our customers. And so this is about how do we get our pipelines ready for delivering water to customers, which frankly at this point is only months away. So 3 different sections of this presentation tonight: interim use, the 8 main steps of commissioning the rest of the finished water transmission system, and remaining work in progress. So as a quick reminder, this is our whole system from the Willamette River all the way up to Sunset Highway. And we've got 2 different contractors that are helping us with this. We have Sunt that's helping us. They're our treatment plant contractor. They're responsible for commissioning everything from the raw water facility up to the water treatment plant, producing finished water there, and then delivering the water through our PLM4 pipeline segments that go down Tualatin and Sherwood Road out to Chicken Creek. It's not to Chicken Creek, but there's a large clean water services sanitary sewer there that we're going to have permits to discharge there. The rest of the system, the finished water system north of that Chicken Creek discharge, is we're getting the help from Emery and Sons, and they're responsible for developing the plan and implementing the plan once we approve it and once we're ready. We're also doing a lot of coordination with clean water services throughout all of this to make sure they're on board and we have the permits that we need to get it done. So first off is interim operations. Two main segments of our system are in interim operations. For a period of time, we had all of PLW1 in interim operations. That's from south to north, PLM 1.3, 1.1, and 1.2. 1.2 has been out of operation for a little bit because of our leak at Francis and Corn Pass a while back. That's coming back online probably in about the next month or so. And what interim operations mean is that we're delivering water through this pipeline. The source of water for PLM1 is JWC. So that water is flowing through those pipelines and flowing to our customers and to Hillsborough's customers. So it's great to get it in operation, check it off of our worry list, and know that everything works on it. Similarly, we just recently, actually, TVWD staff, TVWD forces, just put into interim operations MPE 1.1 and part of MPE 1.2. So that water, I think you heard from Pete recently, that water comes down from Washington County Supply Line from Portland, down Western 1.1 and down 1.2, and then out Bradley Corners, our pressure and flow control facility at Hall and Olison. I say in parentheses partial there because there's a part that's south of Hall Boulevard that isn't delivering water to any customers. So it's basically a dead leg. It crosses Highway 217 there. And there as well, we have a blow off the approval from Clean Water Services to periodically drain water out of that line. So both of these lines are an interim service, means that they've gone through a flushing, a redisinfection process, and now are actually delivering water to customers. And so far, the operation of all of that has been great. What about the rest of it? The rest of the finished water system is the focus of the rest of this presentation, really the part that Emory is helping us. And there's 8 main steps to the operation that they're going to be doing. So it's going to start, as you can see here, kind of the green portions of the system, like I mentioned, are off of our worry list. We're not worried about those anymore. So how do we commission all of the rest of it that right now on this graphic here on the right is in red? And it starts with at the intersection there at Rosedale, our contractor Emory is going to be installing a pump station, a temporary pump station, and a backflow preventer, basically to draw water from JWC out of our PLW 1.3 pipeline, raise its pressure so that water can get up over Cooper Mountain and then drain all the way down south down to Chicken Creek. So all this operation is doing is basically flushing all of those miles of pipeline out of the high TDS, high pH water. We're going to have permits from Clean Water Services for all of that to go into the sewer there at roughly at about a 1 MGD flow rate, so about 600-700 gallons a minute, flowing to the sewer there at Chicken Creek until such time as we've gotten rid of the high pH water and the high TDS water, and we start seeing more consistent water quality through there. Once we're at that point, then we want to re-disinfect the entire pipeline segment. Basically go through the whole sterilization of that pipeline again to make sure that it's safe for carrying potable water. So we'll deliver high chlorine content water in the pipeline, seal it off, test it for bacterial, make sure it passes all the tests that we always test our pipelines with before we're willing to deem it suitable for carrying potable water. At the same time, through this operation, we're going to be re-disinfecting our reservoir as well as we have before, and use a different process there. They use a spray disinfection process there for a 15 million gallon reservoir at the top of Cooper Mountain. So basically take all of that part of the system, re-disinfect it, make sure it passes all of our BACT tests and so on, and then we start flowing potable water through it. And then at that point, we have discharged all the high chlorine water out to the sewer, and now we're just flowing potable water through the system. And frankly, doing a couple things. One, we're proving to ourselves that the water quality stays consistent for the miles of travel through there, and that we're keeping that line fresh until such time as we're actually meaning to deliver potable water from our new water treatment plant, which will come in a bit. So with that part of the system now operational, now we can worry about the rest of MPE. And so basically now we open up our turnout at Roy Rogers Road and Shoals Ferry Road and flow water east through the MPE 1.3 line to the discharge near Fano Creek. And this again, we're discharging our high pH, high TDS water. Go through the same process here. Now we're disinfecting that pipeline, getting it ready for potable water service. And now we're delivering potable water through it, again, from JWC up over the hill east through MPE, and then south down to Chicken Creek through the rest of the PLM-5, PLM-4 pipeline in Roy Rogers Road. And again, the parts that are in interim service remain in interim service. So now at this point, all of our system, except for the little bit down there in Sherwood, in Tualatin and Sherwood Road, is ready for potable water service. And we're intending to have this point in time synchronized about when our treatment plant is getting ready to do the 30-day test. You've heard me talk before about the water treatment plant 30-day test. To run the water treatment plant at a 30-day test means we have to run it at about 10 to 15 million gallons a day. We need a large place to discharge that water, and that large place is going to be our proposed or temporary discharge at the Tualatin River. So the first step is getting that remainder section of finished water pipeline in Tualatin and Sherwood Road clear to the high pH, high TDS water, disinfect that pipeline, and then flow potable water from it there. So now at this point, we have potable water being made at the water treatment plant, delivering that water down our pipeline in Tualatin and Sherwood Road, up Roy Rogers Road, and then out our temporary blow off or temporary discharge at the Tualatin River. Same time, we have water flowing south, the JWC water flowing south, also discharging at the Tualatin River, and the operation occurs as there. So now we're at step 7. So now pretty much everything is close to being done. Now we're just finishing the 30-day test at the treatment plant, making sure that for 30 days in a row, the treatment plant produces potable water. All the operations are as we expect. And then we'll get to a point at some point that now we're at step 8, and now we reverse the flow and start discharging our water up to the turnouts, essentially. And so there's some work going on at this point now about going through the details of reversing the flow in our pipelines, because really all of the water in all of our pipelines, all of our facilities is all potable. And so now we're taking the JWC water that came down here and basically pushing it back up north. So there's really, as long as the water quality is still good, meaning it hasn't raised in pH or TDS, the disinfection byproducts are good, still has chlorine content, we could theoretically deliver that water to customers. But there's still some work involved regarding our customer service with TVWD and Hillsborough and everything. Just how do we want to go through that process and make sure that we're ready to deliver this water to customers, even though it checks everything out. So that gets into my last slide here. It's kind of like, how many of you watched the Masters this past weekend? How many of you play golf? How many of you know golf is a thing? Okay, there we go. All right. So this is kind of like if you're playing golf, you're at the tee, you hit the ball, your target is this big, and then you get to a place where you can see the green. Now your target is this big, and then you're on the green, and your target gets smaller and smaller and smaller. I think that right now we're at the point where we're chipping onto the green. We can see the green, we can see about where it's located, and there's still some details to be figured out, still some final strokes to be made. And so that's where the team is working on right now. We still need our final commissioning and startup plan for the water treatment plant. They're working through all those details, a lot of things that we're working through on that. Like I mentioned, finalizing the commissioning and startup plans for the water transmission mains and finalizing the plans for determining when we know we're ready to start delivering our water, the WWSS water, to our customers and through the turnouts. And that's it for commissioning and startup as we have it today. Glad to take any questions if there are any. All right, thank you.
Commissioners will report on meetings attended, starting with Commissioner Duggan.
All right, on second, Supply System Board, executive session, baseline 11, and management authority. I get all that right? On the 6th, Paul Matthews, check-in. 7th, pleasure of representing the district, Cedar Park School career. Thanks to our missions team, I had an excellent kit. Courage, next generation. a couple generations below me to maybe consider water industry as a future. Also on the 7th, executive session. On the 8th, Water Providers Consortium Executive Committee, a yearly transitions for staff at the City of Portland, losing our administrative assistant, Patty. She's going to be retiring here soon. Change. Sounds like City of Portland. And then
Commissioner Lysick.
I also attended the work session and executive session on the 7th. I had my monthly touch base with CEO Matthews on the 9th and tonight's meeting.
Commissioner Sanders.
Being repetitive, on the 2nd, we had the board agenda setting meeting with all Matthews, yourself, President Fisher, and me. The work session, then on the 14th, as was discussed just a couple of minutes ago, we had a meeting with regards to addressing the filling the empty board member seat, and then today's meeting. That is it.
Okay. I had much of our regular meetings that have already been named, but on the 24th of March, I met with Beaverton City Councilor Kevin Teeter to hear updates and share updates about TVWD in the city of Beaverton. And on the 31st of March, I attended the Special District Association of Oregon Metro Breakfast to hear updates from SDAO. And then tonight's meeting. Raised by commissioners. Do any commissioners have any topics to be raised? Okay. Public comment time is set aside for persons wishing to address the board on items on the consent agenda and matters not on the agenda. Additional public comment will be invited on agenda items as they are presented. Sam, do we have any persons who would like to make public comment online?
Not seeing any this evening.
Okay. Consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and may be enacted in one motion without separate discussion. Any board members may request that an item be removed by motion for discussion and separate action. Any items requested to be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion will be considered immediately after the board has approved those items which do not require discussion. So, do I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Commissioner Duggan, seconded.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. We'll now move into our business agenda, with the first being the authorization to grant easements to Willamette Intake Facilities Commission.
Evening, Commissioners. All right, tonight I bring to you some easements to consider for the Willamette Intake Facilities Commission. The Willamette Intake Facilities Commission, as I'm sure you all remember, is located on property that's owned by both TVWD and the city of Wilsonville at the Willamette River Water Treatment Plant on the banks of the Willamette. And easements were granted to the WIF in the intergovernmental agreement to which TVWD and Wilsonville are a party that was executed in 2018. And those easements are included in Exhibit 1, and they were not recorded at the time because we hadn't completed design yet, and we didn't have as-built records to properly inform the easements. So In the intervening time, now that design and construction are complete, we have updated the recommended easement limits, and we have worked with City of Wilsonville to adjust the easement agreement language to come up with documents that are ready for WIF's operational role. Obviously, as a co-owner in the property, TVWD needs to consider the updated easements, and Wilsonville has already approved these on April 6th. Behind my image, it says legal description placeholder. So in the WIF IGA in Exhibit 1, this is a sketch of what the initial easement concept was. So you can see the laser pointer. You can see the WIF pump station and caisson, and then the intake pipe and screens out into the river. And on the edge of the pump station building, the air burst system. So the easements at that time considered all the existing assets, the expanded screens, and they had a concept for the seismic reinforcing work in the bank to protect the WIF intake in an earthquake. As we completed design, the concept advanced, and today in 2026, we have 3 easements that are recommended for the WIF. We have the section around the WIF pump station and caisson. We have an easement for the ground improvements, which have a larger footprint than was originally considered. We've got a slightly wider easement for the intake pipeline. And then the portion of the intake that is below the ordinary low water line is technically an easement with the Department of State Lands. And so that is a separate easement, which is why you would have seen in the packet the kind of strange looking termination of that easement rather than incorporating the rest of the intake facilities. One of the other adjustments that we made in the easement language was removing a lot of construction related easement requirements that are no longer needed now that we're entering into the operational phase of the WIF. And so we're really in a good place with the revised easement descriptions and the revised easement agreements for the WIF to do its job operating the intake facilities. And it takes on that role officially July 1st of this year. So the requested board action for the TVWD commissioners is to grant the authority to the CEO to finish up the agreements. There may be minor adjustments that are needed, execute them, record them, and then we will be performing the necessary valuation and accounting adjustments. Any questions?
Are the easements owned by TVWD or by the WIF?
Oh, good question. So this is Wilsonville. I do that all the time. Wilsonville and TVWD granting the easements to the Willamette intake facilities. So Wilsonville and TVWD continue to own the land in fee title below the easements, and then WIF has the rights in these easements for the maintenance, operations, and access to the facilities. Thank you.
Motion and a second to approve resolution 1126.
This is Commissioner Duggan, so moved.
This is Commissioner Lysick, I second.
6, a resolution authorizing the execution of easements agreements in favor of the Willamette Intake Facilities Commission. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Now hear from Pete about the Metzger 405 pressure zone service area transfer.
Indeed. Thank you. Good evening, President Fisher and commissioners. So this is just an update to a process that we introduced a few months back. And actually this item was going to be on last week's work session, but because that agenda was long, we punted over to here. So no action needed. Just wanted to give you an update on the process and let you know that we do now have a draft of the intergovernmental agreement that was included in your board packet. And so we'll be asking you at a future meeting to take action on that. But just as a bit of a look back, so what we're talking about here is a small piece of our Metzger service area that we're looking to transfer to the city of Tigard so that those customers in the future would be served from the city of Tigard's water system rather than TVWD. Couple reasons for that. It's across 217 from the majority of our Metzger service area. We have a single feed connecting that pipeline. And so the city of Tigard, which surrounds this area with their water service area, is just in a better position to serve these customers into the future. Just a closer look there, you can see the area we're talking about south of 217 there. It is 73 customer connections. One of those customers has 2 different connections. There's a commercial building in there with a fire line as well as a domestic service. So really looking at 72 different properties that are served. And just to cover some of the key points of the IGA that you'll see in your packet. So talked about the number of connections, all of the assets, the pipes and the valves and the hydrants, all those things that we use to deliver water would be transferred to the city. So they would then own the pipes going forward. The point of demarcation, that's always a key thing to agree on with a neighboring water system. That's going to be back to the north of 217, Highway 217. So there'll be a particular valve there in an intersection that both parties agree on. That's the line between the two systems. We would maintain an emergency intertie, so we're not going to cut any pipes. We'd be able to open that valve in the future if the city ever needed support from us or vice versa. The pressure zones are similar there that we provide service to our customers. We would provide the information that we have not only on our system, but also on these customers and give that to the city to help them establish those new accounts. And there would be no money exchange between us and the city, TVWD and the city. So we would end our business relationship with these customers, send them a final bill, and then the city would establish new accounts. We're not paying them to take this service area. They're not paying us to have it. So if the board is still supportive of this concept, just want to walk through some of the next steps here. So the city is talking about this with their elected officials, and that includes both the Water Advisory Board and their city council. So if you're not familiar with the Water Advisory Board, that's a group that because the Tigard Water District still does exist, they just have an agreement with the city to provide all of their water service. They still have this advisory board. So this concept will be presented to them to ask for their approval and recommendation to the Tigard City Council, which would then approve this transfer as well. We would be communicating with these customers, both from TVWD and the city, letting them know, about this change that's coming up. To make sure that they're well informed, and our communication folks have already been coordinating on that action. If everything's still on track, the Water Advisory Board would make their recommendation in June, and then the City Council and also TVWD would be asked to adopt a resolution in July of this year. And then the final meter reads would be performed and the final bills would go to these customers. And we would make the operational changes in the field to actually transfer the water service from one system to another. So again, just an update on the process where we're at. Take a look at the IGA, make sure that all of that looks like something that you'd like to support. But I'd be happy to answer any questions here, get any feedback from the board. Oh, is that premature?
Just a little bit.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, we'll move on to business agenda item C, which regards JWC meeting attendee.
Mr. President, I propose option number 2, which would designate our CEO as a representative if quorum is not met by any other method. Since he'll probably be there anyway. Right?
Commissioner Duggan and I support that action. point, especially considering it's a concern about having a quorum. Someone there. Make our wishes known that is working with JWC. So therefore, I support of option number 2 being selected.
Paul, since it sounds like you're being volunteered, would you like to say anything?
This is very similar to what the city of Hillsborough does with their deputy city manager when there's quorum necessary. So we patterned it after that to support the JWC to make sure that we can help make the quorum. We do need at least one TVWD rep there to vote, but we also need to contribute to the overall quorum. So.
And I think, we're going to be hopefully getting another member of our board for the end of the summer, and that'll give us another opportunity to open up all of our various board assignments and rework them to figure out how to fit a new member into by then.
So President Fisher, just one question. The way this is written, and it was intended that way, is it would apply even if we had 3 commissioners. If for some reason we had somebody missing and it needed to make a quorum, that we can contribute that. I just want to make sure that that's clear. If that's going to be part of the motion, then I want to make sure that was part of it. Whereas I think the first option was limited to meeting just this Friday's concerns.
Option 2?
Option 1.
Oh, option 1.
Option 1 was just an immediate concern. Option 2 was intended that if you ever needed a pinch hitter, we would already have this pre-approved authority to have one.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
I'm still in support, even if it's one time or very next meeting or meeting a year from now. It's any difference.
Okay, so I'm going to look for a motion and a second.
This Commissioner Duggan, I hereby move that we adopt option number 2 of the options that we have presented before us to designate the CEO as a representative of TVWD. Quorum could not otherwise be met at the JWC meetings.
This is Commissioner Lysick. I second.
I have a motion and a second. So all those in favor of us designating the CEO as a representative if the quorum would not otherwise be met at JWC commission meetings, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. And with that, I will now adjourn our meeting.